When it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind Around with John Pollock and Wai Ting. The A-Team that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind Around for Monday night. Download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind Around for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the Mic.
Hello, hello. It's John Pollock and Wai Ting. That's us. We're here to talk about Raw from Monday night in Philadelphia. Wai's favorite arena name, the Xfinity Mobile Arena.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, I hated the Wells Fargo Arena, but the Xfinity Mobile Arena completely, it's fresh, it's original, it's meaningful. Yeah.
It's not until, I know we go over these arenas every week. It's not until I did my Rumble recap that I'm looking at all the different names, because there's these repeat cities and just the amount of corporate changeover. It's crazy. It used to be the lifespan of some of these names would be like a decade. And now I feel it's like it could be every 2 or 3 years. Some of these names are just getting flipped over to the next brand that's willing to spend money on these. This is multiple incarnations that you have seen wrestling in this arena under different names in Philadelphia.
Well, these days, these really are just billboards, aren't they?
Yes.
They're just a place for you to plaster your company's logo on, and it's kind of it. So
I'm drawing the line at the Meta Apex. I'm never calling it the Meta Apex. It's just going to be the Apex.
Well, that's why they will probably eventually rename it just the Meta Arena or something like that. So you can't just say Apex. You'd have to say
I'm just going to call it the Warehouse because that's what it is, where all these fights take place. Well, tonight it is Raw coming off of the Royal Rumble. And I would say for 3/4 of this show, it felt like the whole purpose of this show was, hey, the Rumble happened on Saturday. It was sort of just not a whole lot of new stuff that we're looking toward. And then you got the final 20 minutes or so.
But I would suggest the Rumble is a big enough show that you should do a night after just to kind of confirm and to celebrate the news of the winners and things like that.
It was not a typically lively Philadelphia crowd, I thought, for the most part on this show. Did you hear differently?
I didn't think they were bad, but were you expecting maybe what?
I just thought, especially
crowd.
There was also a lot length. We only had 3 matches on the show, but all of them were fairly lengthy, ranging from 12 to 22 minutes. And I found for some of the matches, it was tough for the crowd to get into things.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. It didn't necessarily scream at me this is a dead crowd, but I guess they weren't necessarily what I would classify as one of the hottest crowds or anything.
Well, the last time they were here at the Xfinity Mobile Arena was Raw last August that WrestleTix announced 12,889 tickets distributed. For tonight's show, 13,347, which was almost in line with what they announced on TV. It was a difference of 400. So a tremendous number that they drew here in Philadelphia coming off of the Rumble. And we're starting things with an abrupt cut to ringside where Braun Breaker is throwing a fit, threatening Cole and Graves, and destroys their desk. And gets on the mic to call out Adam Pearce. The Vision runs out to try and stop him and says he's going to ruin this entire show after Pearce ruined his Royal Rumble. Paul Heyman, who is here in Philadelphia, blames Pearce, who says had to approve each visa to go to Saudi Arabia and therefore had to know who that was under the mask. And I was that, I guess, kind of could that not have been a local that was enlisted?
It could have, yeah.
That could have been anyone, right?
Could have been the new Saudi wrestler that they just signed to. What is it?
Fod Tway, I think.
Could have been, yes.
I've seen that guy. That masked man looked like he was a third the size of Fod Tway.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we could look at it as Heyman actually applying logic, or it could just be Heyman manipulating the situation to further his issues with Adam Pearce.
Well, Breaker calls out Pearce, and Pearce comes out. let me just say, Pierce, I think Pierce is great in this story. Great. He's so good. He says, Braun, it's your fault. You drew number 2. It's not my fault. I didn't know who the masked man was. And the last time we had a masked man, it turned out to be Austin Theory. And the crowd oohs at this and says, Braun, this line was so good. I'm doing you a favor by letting you keep your job after that piss poor performance in the Royal Rumble. It was so bad I could have fired you with cause. And Braun hops to the floor and, in a tribute to his uncle, like just stumbles on the floor as he lands and just picks right up. This kind of conveyed how chaotic it was that he got away with this. But the guy just totally like spilt on the floor.
I thought it actually helped the segment. I mean, this was supposed to be the Vision, like sort of in the dumps, right? Like this is about as low as you've seen somebody like a Braun Breaker, who's usually so completely together and overconfident. This is him like realizing, like, you know, what's happening. Like our plan has totally failed. I'm supposed to be in the main event of WrestleMania, and it's now we have like another mystery guy. Like, what the fuck is happening, right? So I thought, like, probably unintentional, but I thought it kind of worked. And I overall thought it was a strong opening segment. I mean, first of all, I love the cold open. I don't think, you know, they've established such a routine at this point of doing those like pre-show walkouts that this felt like just very different, noticeably different. And I thought Breaker did a very good job of like selling the frustration and selling, like, you know, being pissed off after having his Rumble, you know, just ruined. And I thought they did a good job continuing to build a bit of intrigue into this Pierce Vision feud and whoever this mystery attacker might be. Do you have any further guesses now? A few more days removed
on the Masked Man. What I said on Saturday is what I feel this is going to end up being. Like, I think this is a way to build towards a Seth Rollins program when we don't physically have Seth Rollins to access to him at the moment. But I think that's the payoff for this is a Rollins return, and it just is a matter of when he's able to go. But I would think, like, if they're doing this angle, I think like you've got months until WrestleMania. It
just feels so obvious though, and almost like anticlimactic if the reveal later on would be that it's just Seth Rollins.
Well, I mean, WrestleMania time, it's sometimes the most obvious stuff is how they go for a lot of they's stories and angles. Like, I don't think there's a big payoff if it's some random dude that has no connection to Braun Breaker, or that it's Heyman. Like, it just doesn't make.
Okay, what about this? Let me throw this up. Brian from New Jersey says, saw some photos that claimed the masked man was Logan Paul. What do you think of that?
I'm not saying that the person on Saturday was Seth Rollins.
I'm saying eventually.
Eventually. So what is the reasoning for this?
Logan wants to be the leader of the Vision, or take out the top guy in the Vision. I mean, or better his own chances of winning the Rumble. Actually, that makes perfect sense. Because if you remember, the Vision's, it was Paul that actually suggested it. He said, we're going to enter the Rumble, and we're going to help Braun Breaker win the Rumble. Taking Breaker out at the beginning would allow Logan a chance to win the Rumble for himself.
I mean, it's a fine story, but I think that the way that I just don't feel that one really playing itself out. Like, is Breaker and Logan Paul, is that an intriguing direction?
If you're going to turn Breaker babyface. I mean, this is all, I think, a contingency if Seth Rollins isn't back, you know?
Right.
Like, provided Rollins isn't around.
If Seth is not ready, then that might be, you know, what you're left with alternative wise. But it's like, man, we broke up one version of the Vision, and we're going to break up the second version of the Vision so quickly. And I would hate to see them turn Braun Breaker before Rollins is back, because Rollins is coming back as a babyface. I don't think they went to that extent to destroy him for Breaker to not get that program. Like, you at least want to get that program. I don't think there's any rush for Breaker to become a babyface. Like, I think he has a long heel run in him, and I just wouldn't want to do that just because the timing doesn't work out for this Mania match.
Yeah, maybe. There is just something though to like the scene from last week and Logan being the one to suggest, you know, putting the Rumble towards Breaker that like still seems somewhat unresolved. That could, I think, play into all this.
Well, the segment ends with LA Knight's music playing, and of course they look to the entrance, but LA Knight shows up in the ring and attacks Logan and Theory with chair shots. Reed is in the aisle and runs back, and Braun is just screaming at Heyman, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" And this would be a show-long conflict between Braun Breaker, who's fed up, and Heyman cannot control Braun Breaker, and was about to have heart palpitations by the end. I did like this opening segment. I thought this was a really good start to the show and was a way to get a lot of focus on Braun Breaker and make the most of this quick elimination, which I did think was well done on Saturday. I didn't have any issue with the story, and I'm not against this mask idea. I think if it leads to Rollins, I think this is a fairly clever way to get to it when the guy is, not ready as of February 2nd to be doing anything physical.
Sure. Yeah. And if it leads to Paul, I think that's almost even a little bit more interesting.
Well, that's with this thing. It's like you can, if something goes awry, you can pivot with a masked character, and however you want to go with it at the end. It gives you flexibility. Javon Evans and El Grande Americano. This was the rematch from 2 weeks ago that got stopped when Evans got hurt, and he's selling all the impact of going 40-plus minutes in the Royal Rumble. He was taped up like Sakuraba here. Graves explains how, when they're talking about the original Grande Americano showing up, that it's tradition in Lucha to carry characters over between people, citing La Parka, and that this is commonplace in Lucha. So Evans hit this insane dive over the top. He just crashes down. He almost like overshot El Grande. Rayo trips him, and then Grande capitalizes, lawn darting him into the post. And then El Grande Americano just worked on his ribs, and it just went on for so long. Evans comes back, hits a somersault coast to coast, and Rayo distracts the referee. Bravo knocks Evans off the buckle, and then as Rayo goes to pass the object to load the mask, Chad Gable comes out in his El Grande Americano getup, and of course, everyone freezes. They're all distracted, and the OG cutter gets hit, and Javon wins in 12 and a half minutes.
Yeah, very predictable, like WWE style distractions here. I mean, it's obviously a finish that moves the story along, but it felt creatively lazy to me. I thought Evans looked, I think, about as good as you usually expect, although this wasn't one of his more impressive main roster appearances, just given how much interference you had throughout, and really him not necessarily being the focal point of the match.
He also got beaten for 80% of this match. It was I didn't think, you would think on paper 12 and a half minutes between these two, it'll be pretty entertaining. It wasn't like it was bad. It was just, I wouldn't say this was a match that blew me away.
It would be fine if it was all in service of this, or whatever, Grande versus Grande type of thing, but I wasn't even that inspired by, I think, the creativity they employed there. So I can't necessarily say after two appearances now of this Grande Americano versus Grande Americano thing that I don't think they're necessarily off to a great start. They're off to a very standard start in that okay, they're doing it, but it doesn't feel as big, but they also have barely just started. So
yeah, I just feel this program would probably work a lot better in AAA, and here it's undercard comedy, and I just don't think Gable's return didn't get any sustained reaction on Saturday. Didn't feel like he was a big deal here. It just kind of feels like, okay, it's a program, and it's an underneath one. The Usos are back. Jimmy,
before that, they aired this video package only highlighting the new debuts, not just the new debuts, but also the NXT call-ups and their performances in the Rumble. I thought this was excellent. It was so simple. And I mean, highlighting things like Javon Evans being the Iron Man, or Lash Legend, with all of our eliminations. I mean, you watch this and there felt like there was a very clear effort in making every new person have something attached to them coming out of the Rumble to celebrate whatever accomplishment that they did. There's one for obviously Royce Keys and even Lola Vice and Sol Ruka getting a lot of something so simple, but it goes more to tell you the Rumble is their vehicle to benefit the new stars and not necessarily just nostalgia acts like people would probably prefer.
Yeah, they put a really cool video up with Royce Keys, just the hours before the Rumble as well, running into Cody. It was a good video. So the Usos come out. This is Jimmy's first appearance in several weeks, and this is crazy because Wai and I have the same matching shirts. Wai has one that reads God first, and I've got the one that says I tried my way, but, and on the back says God's way is better. It's nuts, dude. We should have worn our matching shirts tonight.
We were going to, but then the Usos did it. So maybe tomorrow.
God. So I mean, This is sort of like what Jay's been doing for weeks. Like they come out and they cut a 60-second promo that they're facing the Alpha Academy, and then they put over Roman Reigns for winning the Rumble, and that was it.
Yeah.
But it was good to see Jimmy back.
Certainly, yeah. So, I mean, they were obviously limited with what they were able to do, and clearly some plans changed because I think they were probably supposed to wrestle while overseas. But, this match feels like it's like not that important, Usos versus Alpha Academy, but they've been like really drawing it out and like making us anticipate it for like weeks and weeks now. So it's one of those, that I mean, plans change types of like matches, it feels like. But they'll finally get there, and yeah, well, we don't know what's up with like Jimmy and Naomi, right? Like it could just simply be like didn't want to leave the country and that was it. But yeah, hopefully the match is good.
They congratulated both Bad Bunny and Jelly Roll for their Grammy wins. Jelly Roll was also asked his thoughts about he was asked about the current the ongoing situations, and he just said, "Hey, I'm a dumb redneck. I don't know about politics or any of this stuff." I mean, the safest answer imaginable from one Jelly Roll.
He was asked what, yesterday, or like
this was at the I didn't watch the Grammys. I don't think this was on stage or anything. I think he was just asked about everything. Like this was a very very obviously big topic at the Grammys because of all the anti-ICE sentiment and such. And then this was amazing. AJ Styles theme plays and Gunther comes out.
Amazing.
And he's got his head tucked and he does the full AJ entrance. Oh, it was so good. This was, I laughed out loud, and I don't make noises, period, in life. This was just wonderful to watch. This guy is so entertaining. He's so entertaining. And he just howls. He thinks this is like the funniest thing that he has concocted. This would take a lot of planning to do, but God bless him. He comes out. And dude, there was this fan. This screenshot just circulated everywhere. This fan facing the hard camera has a sign: "I miss AJ and Cena, but not Goldberg." So it's nice that Brett got comps to the Xfinity Mobile Arena, perhaps. But this was a very visible sign. Yeah, it's that everybody caught hold of. I mean, poor shade for Big Bill there. Gunther explains that when you step into the ring with him, your career and your legacy die. So a reference way to a career killer and legacy all in one line there. Maybe that's
interesting. Okay, interesting.
But no, folks, who's going to come to follow in the footsteps of Bill Goldberg, John Cena, and AJ Styles? Dragon Lee runs down and he attacks Gunther. Actually, he had a ton of fire here. Mm-hmm. He hits a high cross. It's incredible tope suicida.
I believe he yelled fire. Yeah, that's his thing. Yeah. He's a dragon, you see.
I would do that too. Yeah. He hit this like just from one spot to the next. This was like a video game sequence. He went from a Rana off the desk, sending Gunther into the post, and then as Gunther is sent over the timekeeper's table, Dragon Lee sprints past the ring towards the timekeeper's area and gets waffled with a ring bell, and dude's dead.
Looked great.
And Gunther puts him in the sleeper. This was a great segment. I mean, I don't even know.
He didn't just put him in the sleeper. He had him.
Oh, he hung him. Yeah, he did the Brody King here with Darby. He hung him over the top of the rope, lifeless here.
Yeah.
As I was going to say, I don't even think you have to do you can do the match. I don't think it's necessary after this.
No, I don't think it's necessary. This is a way bigger angle than I think like anything, okay, maybe have the match just to see Dragon Lee get beaten up again. But this visual, I think, is so perfect. You don't really need much more. To me, like, I feel like they're doing this to inspire, Penta and eventually Rey Mysterio to get their revenge for their friend, I have to think.
Okay, and Gunther and like someone like Rey.
Yeah. Career killer, of course.
Yeah.
Like, put it Rey. I mean, I don't think Rey's going to retire, but like to have just the threat of like Gunther now chasing another Legends career, I think is sort of a perfect follow-up.
It's someone to keep Gunther busy until his Mania program, and doing him and Rey like in Chicago for Elimination Chamber, or even just build it up for a few weeks for a Raw blow off like that. That's good. Like I don't.
And he doesn't need to retire Rey. Like somehow you can get out of the match just to say like Rey will whatever. Like, but it's like, you know, just thematically, I think Gunther chasing all the legends is a good one, right?
Yeah, you do have to establish that not all his matches are to end people's careers. But you're right. It's just he's coming after all the legends because he just wants them gone.
Dragon Lee did a great job in this segment.
Dragon Lee was great.
And including really like selling, you're right, like it's the Darby Allin, you know, Brody King thing, but like, man, including, I don't know how you can work this, like just being hung on your neck like this without like, I guess he's putting his body weight on the apron, but it looked tremendous. Like this was a much more sort of like gruesome and violent visual than Raw typically, you know, allows.
They recapped LA Knight being out for the last couple of months after the tsunami on the car. And Heyman confronts Adam Pearce. He wants him to book Braun Breaker against LA Knight tonight. And Pearce says something that no WWE GM has said in years. I can't do it. It's like, you can't do it. Why? You clearly have plenty of time to work with tonight. He says, I sent LA Knight out of the building, which is an important line, and says for Heyman to prepare Bronson Reed for his match with Penta. And Heyman says that, do you know what city we're in tonight? And Pearce just looks at him. F-A-F-O.
Stone Cold.
Do you know, like there's this new I saw this new thing online. It's called the Fight Against Federal Oversight Against the current administration for all of its oversight. F-A-F-O.
F-A-F-O, okay.
Yeah,
you think that's what he meant?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think these two have wonderful chemistry in these
they're
scenes.
great. They're great.
This is certainly the most like personality we've seen out of Adam Pearce. Like at least like it feels like the most substantial role, or one of the most substantial roles he's had since like being GM. And I think he's doing a great job of it because he has to manage sort of a tricky balance of like standing firm against these heels, while I don't think he ever outshines like the baby faces.
No,
on the
he
show.
never like emasculates them, or like he is, you know, at the end of the day, this guy is still like an ex-wrestler. He should have some level. Like he just balances things really well. Like I never come away with this where it's like he at all diminishes Breaker or anything like that. Yeah. And the guy that he's going to give the most to is Heyman, who that should be Heyman's role, is like ultimately like this guy would like this guy should intimidate you.
And he is so smug and so confident in this role that I have no doubt that the Vision will ultimately like deliver some sort of crushing blow to him.
Byron Saxton interviewed Maxine during the break. She will face Natty next week. She says she is still in shock. Natty was her best friend. And it might be a new Natty, but it's also a new Maxine Dupree. And this version is breaking ankles and taking names. Because I'm tired of being walked over. I elevated myself. Natty, you might have taught me how to train, but I taught myself how to survive. And no one can decimate Maxine Dupree.
Fiery promo from Maxine. Clearly she's been working. And I think next week she's going to get destroyed by Natalya. Or at least I think she should, you know.
Oh, man. Is her post-match celebratory piss going to be is that going to be her?
A lot of people won't know the context of like what you just said.
No, I'm sure many people do. This is going to be like her Tito Ortiz, where she dig the grave. God. It's like that's going to be.
So the person who has been riddled with this this fart gimmick, you're suggesting now has a urination gimmick.
Yes,
that she gave herself really through social media.
Natty bestowed this upon herself, so I don't feel bad about this. Is now I'm making this canon in her character. Okay.
Yeah. Like with Maxine, like really fiery promo. I just like I think tomorrow is going to be the write-off of this like current iteration of her character, because I mean I don't, they're setting up Natalya versus Becky obviously, so it
which feels like that's a setup in and of itself too. Like Maxine's the setup for
AJ.
Natty, who feels like is the setup for like ultimately like AJ as well. So I'm kind of interested just to see how they, figure all this stuff out. And no Becky on the show either. Breaker is furious that he didn't get the match with LA Knight, and he storms away from Heyman. And we never saw Braun Breaker again on the show. The War Raiders come out. Amazingly, they got an entrance. And what?
Are you sure it was? Are you sure it wasn't just Netflix where they got the entrance?
You know what? As I say that, you're right, because I'm thinking like it made no sense that they got an entrance. This must have been during the break that I saw this. But I got to physically see them walk to the ring to their doom, because then Obafemi comes out. I don't know what was scheduled here. Like, this was going to be a scheduled tag match, but Obafemi just danced his way to the ring. We don't know who the team was that were to face the War Raiders. No idea what was to happen here. And I thought this was going to be a handicap match, and I just felt terrible for the War Raiders. It wasn't a match, but it was the same purpose, where Oba murdered these guys and hit a fall from grace. The crowd chanted Oba, and I mean, geez, War Raiders were probably watching Tommaso Ciampa on Saturday and thinking, man, that could be us one day.
We used to be in ROH. Will you take us?
Dude, I think Tony would love these guys. He'd do a War Raiders marathon on ROH's YouTube.
Certainly they are ripe for a rehabilitation, but I can't even say I'm all that excited about the War Raiders now at this point after all this. Jeez. I mean, listen, I understand. Okay, like Obafemi deserves to be pushed this way. He deserves like these sort of handicap match squashes. And you can even make the argument that he should be squashing an established team rather than just a bunch of jobbers like the War Raiders. But you can't help but feel bad for like this guy who like both of them battling injury. You know, like one guy battling neck surgery to come back only for this role. It just kind of shows you that they've certainly given up on the War Raiders at this point.
Finn Balor has a video and explains that this is a business built on respect, and he's always given respect, but it's never returned. He is taken for granted by being told the Royal Rumble was full. And I was just waiting for some B-roll of La Parka and Mr. Iguana showing at the Rumble. That would have taken this video over the top. It would have given Balor, just showed Damian Priest choke slamming Yeska, and here's Finn sitting at home. He says that respect only takes you so far. I want the world championship. He says, I'm not a bad guy, but CM Punk, I'm going to do some bad things. Mm-hmm. So I think we're getting this in Chicago. I think this is the match for Chicago. It keeps Punk on that show, and I think that's
as sort of like a bridging, opponent for Punk between now and WrestleMania. I actually like Finn Balor a lot. I almost wonder if they always had plans for Finn Balor to be in this role, or if it was the success of that, Ireland show that really convinced them to do a home and home series between the two.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because I would argue that maybe there would be a little more. I mean, Christ, we announced the match for Punk at WrestleMania. I mean, this is really just it's a match for Punk in his hometown to have at Elimination Chamber, and hopefully you have a great match, but I don't think there's going to be any doubt as to the outcome here. Nikki Bella walks out and is followed by Brie, and man, there were shots of people dressed up as the Bellas. There is a woman in tears seeing Brie and Nikki. I mean, I just wanted to tell her, they do a video version of the podcast every week.
Listen, speaking as a big Bellas fan, I mean, I imagine there's probably I don't know, maybe like a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes into like this sort of emotion of people, like like they create genuine connection, I feel, with their audience.
Oh, they have an enormous like they have like a very, very strong fan base. Like in terms of performers that have left WWE that have really, like, remember, they were not able to use the Bella names, and they have pivoted. They have, they have been very successful outside of WWE. Like they are like a value that has taken a lot of like what I think was more cultivated from Total Divas than even on WWE programming itself, and been able to grow that over the last decade.
Mm-hmm. But I would say, though, overall, the pop tonight was certainly not what it was when this was a surprise in Saudi Arabia. Like, there was a reaction. The crowd shots were great, but they made up a minority of this Philadelphia crowd.
So
this was awkward. This beginning portion.
Oh, the beginning. So they make like these references to the guy on the Eagles that Nikki's
so like
semi-dating.
What, she is? Oh, she's date. Oh, okay, she is. I didn't know that. Is she?
I think there. I don't.
Spill the tea. What's going on?
I'm not spilling anything that's not clear.
Okay, listen to this. Nikki Bella's WWE's Nikki Bella sparks dating rumors with 22-year-old NFL star after her weekend antics. Okay, is this what you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, this has been covered everywhere.
Cooper DeJean. Okay,
they've gone on dates together. That's
that's why people were chanting "Coop, Coop, Coop."
Yes, and then Brie made reference to this, and then they just moved on. So Brie explains.
Wow, interesting that her like her appearances in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it worked itself out.
Huh.
So Brie has come back because they are the original tag team. And the tag division is better than ever. And they want in. We're going for the belts. And the crowd chants yes.
You're being generous. I don't really think this crowd was chanting yes.
Some of them put their hands in the air, thinking
this was about the weakest yes we've ever seen.
This was a meh.
Like there were people that I'm sure treated this like they really wanted to see the Bellas go for the tag titles, but I would say they accounted for, at least according to like my viewing of this shot, I would say be generous and say like 20% of this crowd. The rest were just like, yeah, we don't really want that.
In fairness, they were probably still trying to process this incredible phantom turn that Nikki went through. I mean,
that's part of it, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like it's just like she was like just full on insulting like the crowd like 2 weeks ago.
She was insulting them here. Like, I mean, I didn't recognize the whole thing, but like she was like, didn't she make some insult towards the Eagles? I mean, I recognize that to be in jest at this point, but anyway. Yeah. I think this is, to me, I was expecting a heel turn tonight. Like, okay, you got the big babyface pop, fine, cool. Tonight, you in Philadelphia.
Oh, I think they're keeping these two baby faces. That's my thought here.
I think that's a terrible idea, because this has always been the problem with the Bellas. On their media, on their podcasts, whatever, they can come across as very genuine, likable people. But when you're scripting them in these pro wrestling segments, they come across as completely disingenuous and just like fake. And they should run with that. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a bad thing if you're trying to push them as babyface.
What if Lyra and Bailey challenged them to a live edition of Bella Brains on Raw?
That would be a mismatch on the level of Obafemi versus the War Raiders, I think.
Okay, yeah, this was not a great segment at all.
No, I thought this was a miscalculation. I mean, maybe they were just overconfident after seeing Bree's reaction in Saudi, but I think they'll be turning heel soon, in my opinion.
Maybe they'll bring in Coop.
Yeah, they would love that. Yes.
And then, where can this show go further down? Alpha Academy meets with Bert Kreischer. Because guess what? He's got a new Netflix series. Bert, you want to come on Raw? Sure. He's rooting for them next week. And then Maxine walks in, and Bert Kreischer informs Maxine that what Natty did was horse crap. And then Maxine, who I guess is auditioning for the next like high school drama, says that what Natty, she says, I'm going to break her ankle. And then everyone screams. Bert takes his shirt off. This was horrible. This was just a horrible segment all around.
It's awful.
I didn't want to see any of these people wrestling next week, and God knows I never want to see Bert Kreischer back here. He has filled his Raw quota for the next 5 years. I've had enough of Bert Kreischer.
Yeah, I've never seen a second of like what this man does. He could be hilarious, but these segments are more turnoffs than anything.
Oh, he's got a sitcom on Netflix. Like, could you imagine?
Not really. No.
It's like Cruel and Unusual Punishment. Penta versus Bronson Reed. The Vision Art ringside minus Braun Breaker, who's taken off. Paul Heyman is all distraught because he is. I mean, they said that Heyman's like losing it. It was like, what? Is he upset that Braun Breaker's upset? Is he upset that LA Knight is not facing him later? Like, to me, it was like, is this a crisis?
I guess it's a crisis in that, like, again, their plans for the Rumble have been foiled. Okay, none of their guys are going to WrestleMania. They don't know who this mystery attacker is, and
The rest of the division seemed to be fine. Like they've moved on from the Rumble pretty quick, but Braun's pissed. So
yeah,
so I understand he's worried about Braun. Penta misses a chop hitting the post, and Reed tries to remove the mask. And as this is a first, I've been watching wrestling a long time, and the babyface is just selling and selling and selling. Reed's on offense, and Graves states that Penta has been rendered offensively impotent. Offensively impotent.
Okay, does that not what don't you like about that?
Nothing. I'm just saying it's never a term I've heard used quite so well of a man being beaten down.
Commentators have to be colorful with their language.
Yes. Penta counters into a backstabber. Then he knocks Logan and Theory off the ring apron and hits a high cross to the floor. But in all of this, the referee gets hit. And as he goes for the Mexican Destroyer, it's caught with a jagged edge and tsunami. But there's no referee. So Bronson decides to go get a chair from the floor when LA Knight appears and hits a BFT to Reed onto the chair. The Vision chase him through the crowd. Heyman's losing his mind because the referee is now alive and counting, and Bronson Reed gets counted out in 12:55. And the bigger question was, didn't Pierce make LA Knight leave the building? And if he snuck back in, he should be facing a major sanction.
You're right. Yes. And if he
so
does
Heyman
not,
and the Vision, they have a case here about LA Knight blatantly disregarding Adam Pierce, being insubordinate.
And if he does not face a sanction, perhaps he'll get yelling at in Gorilla by Paul Levesque.
This is not what we do. Because
this is supposed to be your moment.
You come through the crowd and then fucking down the stairs, and then he's got the chair and fucking down, and then you're gonna fuck over the hop into the apron, and then fucking BFT hit the chair up down, fuck that shit, fuck this balls. Okay, got it, Paul. LA, I've also got to tell you a secret. I know who's under the mask. Okay, I've only told Cody. He's the only guy. No, even the guy under the mask doesn't know. But I'm gonna tell you, okay? But tell Bobby Roode, come over.
Your Unreal Paul Levesque is my new favorite.
I watched Sean's latest video, dude. Sean has made me a fan of myself. I watch these videos. I'm like, fuck, I'm really good. Like, Sean has brought me to a new level of self-esteem. I love these.
The latest shorts, both on our Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, hilarious. And you know so what? Good. Our shorts team is outdoing themselves because we have another.
Luke Hale and Sean are just big fans.
We have another.
They are our Sol Ruca and Javon Evans, the two of them.
Yeah. Stay tuned. We got another one throughout the week.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't get pre-screened to these. I just
don't even listen
online.
to these podcasts. Just like consume us.
That's it. There's way too much of me out there. Just take me in 2-minute form. It's the best. Count out finish here, and Penta gets the win.
Overall, like I know we spent like 5 minutes like joking about this, but I think they did a good job with LA Knight here. Like they didn't like rely on like the talking so much. They had him coming with these sneak attacks. He's essentially like taking out the entire group by himself. Okay, very Austin like. So I like what they're doing with Knight here.
Very Tony D'Angelo like. I would like to compare.
Okay.
Let's do a modern comparison here.
Okay.
Maybe that's how Ava will be explained. She got BFT'd.
We'll see. We'll find out.
Liv Morgan's segment is next. Dominic makes his return, coming out with both belts, something Ava would never allow, and introduces Liv Morgan as the winner. Liv comes out and jumps on top of Dominic and calls herself the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time. I don't know how you designate that.
Well, how does somebody become the greatest of all time?
Yeah, like, do you have to have the most eliminations, the longest in the Rumble? Is it what you make of the Royal Rumble victory? I mean, how do you become the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time?
Well, how do you measure greatness, I guess? That sounds like a Nike ad, but like,
very subjective, yes. She states she doesn't know who she's going to pick, and she's going to go to SmackDown this week to assess her options. Why? Yeah. That's the worst show. Why would you want to go there? This is where the real stuff happens. This is Raw on Netflix. And she says that tonight we're going to crown a new women's champion, and brings out her sister and her best friend, Raquel Morgan. And Raquel comes out and asks Liv, why did you eliminate me? And Liv says, Raquel, I know you, and I know you're not selfish because I won. So now we both have title matches, and a win for one is a win for all. Liv is so great here.
Great.
And she gets to do this whole story. Like, I came back from my shoulder injury, and I supported you and Roxanne going for the tag belts. Now it's your turn to support me. I think Liv's been great here. And she is asked by Raquel to stay in the back because that will make this win even sweeter. So Liv agrees and goes to the back with Dominic. So this kind of just felt like a way to put Dominic on TV before we see him in Mexico this Saturday. So
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he was
kind of a
here.
minor part of this, but he is back.
Yeah, not a very dramatic return, and I guess they don't necessarily need one. The injury wasn't like it was, that long in length, and we just kind of pick up the Dominic Liv story from this point on, which is, I think, perfectly fine for everybody. I mean, I think Liv has just been doing so well here. Like, she clearly has evolved somehow as a performer, as an actor in a wrestling context. I think she just really feels like a main character right now, which is very different from when she started with the Judgment Day. And I think you could say some of the same for Raquel as well, who over this past Stephanie Vaquer feud has really kind of felt a lot more comfortable playing this personality. So yeah, both of them are advancing. And Judgment Day, I think, are presenting really interesting stuff with all of them.
Big sexy.
That's
Raquel
the big
Rodriguez.
difference maker.
That's the difference. So it's Stephanie Vaquer, Raquel Rodriguez, Philadelphia street fight for the Women's World Championship. And this was really no knock on either of them, but they had some uncooperative weapons at various spots in this match that they, we'll get into them. I thought they generally reacted well. Of course, we get the pop when a table is brought out, but for like a WWE weapon style match, which is usually really easy to get over, I thought this was a real struggle with this crowd. This was a 22-minute match. So it involved tables. Vaquer's ankle was the focus of Raquel's attack. She chained the leg and then smashed the ankle into the barricade and apron. We had kendo sticks brought out, and at one point the ankle is placed in between the in between the steps, and then she avoids that, ducks a chair shot, and fights back with kendo stick shots to Raquel. She gets lawn darted into the post, and then Vaquer fights back, uses the kendo stick, and goes for the devil's kiss, but instead Vaquer dumps her onto the rope. But don't worry, folks. We would get the devil's kiss later on inside the ring, and not just one devil's kiss. She rolls Raquel to the floor, sets her up on the steps for another devil's kiss.
Yeah.
So we had a devil's makeout session.
Can't be fun for right. Can't be fun for those knees. Devil's kiss on the chair and then the steps.
Yeah, it's that's going to hurt her longevity. It's a good thing Muto wasn't incorporating this into his matches as well. Just stick to the moonsaults. Raquel gets a garbage can placed on her head, and Vaquer hits the double knees into the trash can to Raquel. And then she stops a Tejana bomb through a table. She's selling the ankle. When Liv returns, hands the belt to Raquel, but then Vaquer rams her into a chair that's been set up in the corner. Earlier, this chair had been set up, and it fell out of place. And they just moved on. They didn't worry about it. They just moved on. And I think that's the best way to do it.
And I'm assuming during the commercial break, they put it back up because it just...
Yeah, I didn't even know. I was watching during the break, and I didn't even notice when this chair got placed back into
because this happened to be a commercial break that we didn't see on Netflix, at least in our...
That's right. That's right. The second break, it went to ad, so we didn't see it. So Liv's run-in has screwed up. Raquel gets placed on the table after they fight on top, and there's a series of headbutts that sends Roxanne Perez down, and Raquel fights her way up. She blocks a Rana and goes for a powerbomb through the table, but Vaquer turns it into a Hurricane Rana, and Raquel just grazes the table. I'm not going to say it broke. It cracked the table. This was the least spectacular table break I've ever seen. And I would imagine that Vaquer called the audible here because you see her go and whisper something to Raquel and hit the corkscrew splash for the bigger pop at 21:55. And I thought, listen, weapons are going to be unpredictable at times. And I thought that they kind of just rolled with things here with the chair spot in the corner. And for this one as well, we've seen a lot of people, especially of late, that it's one thing goes wrong, they freeze. And in the case of Leon Slater at Saturday night's main event, that was a guy that did not panic. And in this, they were just, let's go do a different finish, and it got the big pop, and they worked around this lackluster table break.
Yeah, I really like think these two deserve credit because to me this was a match that exceeded my expectations.
I thought it was a very good match in front of like a tough crowd that just didn't reflect it. It went long, but I thought they worked like a really good match together.
Raquel Rodriguez in particular, I think like she's been showing considerable evolution again, just as this like monster heel type of character in these past few months. But I think it's really taken a new level during the Stephanie Vaquer feud, where in those beatdowns, I think she has been bringing a different level of intensity. And in a street fight, like that was the place to showcase that newfound intensity. And I thought she employed it throughout the match. Like for me, what really stands out is just her lack of hesitation in setting up the spot and immediately going for it. And as a monster, you have to just do that. You can't just like, even like pause for dramatic effect. I think it's way more effective to just like set the table down. I'm going to throw you through the table right now. I'm not going to pause whatsoever. And I thought she was great doing that. Vaquer on the other hand, like I felt she either purposely or maybe just because of coming back from injury, looked a bit more restrained here than I think we usually see her. But it could also just be selling. And of course, that finish still looked very spectacular with the corkscrew moonsault. So it was a really nice finish here, especially with the Liv Morgan spot to continue that descent.
And Liv returns and lays out Vaquer with Oblivion, holds up the belt, and then just dumps it on top of Vaquer, just like bounced off her as she dropped this belt right on top of her. I think this is our direction for Mania. I mean, you could always switch things up, but it really feels like Vaquer is the babyface. They want to keep this belt on. I really don't see this one being switched up, and I certainly do not see Liv with Jade Cargill. But they're going to drag this one out, obviously, a little bit.
Unless Jade drops the belt between now and Mania to another babyface.
Did you see that graphic today? Someone put up a graphic today on like Reddit or something. It's been 3 months since she has defended that title.
Wow, really?
Yes.
And that would have been against what, like Michin or BFAB or something? Yeah, just unspectacular.
Yeah,
really.
This would have been just a SmackDown match, probably.
Yeah. I'm assuming Liv versus Vaquer is what our destination. But in the meantime, what of like Raquel?
I don't know, man. It's like you can do the Judgment Day infighting and stuff, but man, it's a long time till WrestleMania, a long time. So they have time to kill. Next week, Natty Maxine, the Usos Alpha Academy for the tag belts, and they will start the qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber in Cleveland. Final segment, Roman Reigns pulls up. He wasn't catching the first 2.5 hours of this show, or the first 2 hours. He just pops in. He's going to do his 15 minutes, and then he's got to get out of here. He's like, the comic that comes at the end of the night, and everyone just, they're going to make 10 minutes for him. He walks out into the ring and reflects on Philadelphia. It's where I won my first title here on my daughter's birthday. This is also the city where I lost my last title, and the building where I won my first Royal Rumble. And wow, he thinks I just won the Rumble, and the very next city was Philadelphia. I'm like, yeah, small world, Roman. Crazy, isn't it? It's like, okay, we're getting a history of Roman's geography here. And he quizzes Philadelphia on who he should face at WrestleMania. They're all chanting CM Punk, and they boo Drew McIntyre. Punk, his music plays, and he comes out. Long walk to the ring. And he stares at Roman, but then he turns to the camera and has a message to deliver for Finn Balor, warning him of when he gets his hands on him. And Reigns is confused by this. He says, "You're interrupting me to speak about Finn Balor?" Punk says, "Excuse me, bitch? You're a visitor on my show. I call the shots on Raw here on Netflix." And Punk literally mocks the idea of Roman versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Like, god damn, thank God we're not selling pay-per-views anymore with that as a potential main event. And he pulls the crowd and then dares Roman to take the easy way out and choose Drew. Reigns reminds him that Drew is about 4 times bigger than you, and he made you cry over some plastic bracelet, which Punk is wearing, and warns Roman to be careful because when I got through with Drew, they ran out of staples after I broke them, and I beat him in the most violent match here in WWE, Hell in a Cell, and I put him in the dirt. Roman says, "Yeah, I beat Drew for 3 straight years.
Oh.
It's like, oh my God. Dude, they're literally trying to one-up each other on who beat Drew worse.
Mm-hmm.
Punk's comeback is, yeah, you and how many of your cousins? And Reigns, this strikes a nerve. Not because it's diminishing Drew. Like we've established, he's a joke. But me and my cousins are the only reason this company is where it's at. And that you had a show and a company to come back to. So now I have learned that after Punk left, WWE almost went under. They saved the company from going out of business as well. I didn't realize things were in such dire straits for this company that was having some record years, even if creative was failing them. So that's good to know. I'm glad they pulled them out of the doldrums like this. Punk says, you weren't he says you held this company hostage. And he references the comments he made on the Pat McAfee show that he can take his quarterly vacations, but no one has stepped up to replace him. He says, Roman, no one is trying to follow what you did. He explains, Reigns, you followed in my footsteps. You took Paul Heyman just like I had Paul Heyman. And just because you did it longer doesn't mean you did it better, referencing his 434-day title reign. It says, you choose to be a part-timer. I choose to go to 10 countries in 3 weeks. And he lists them all off. Which is a hell of a feat.
Sure, of course. Yeah. Do you like, because he's referencing
the European tour
Yep.
and in Canada last week, and then Saudi Arabia, and then they're back to the U.S. I'm sure 10 is the legit number. Of places.
Impressive, but I mean, come on. In Europe, like, listen, it's like you can travel from
it's a couple train rides,
state to state, and
how many continents? I mean, it's still 3 continents.
Sure. Yes, it is impressive. Yes.
So, he states that he lists off the countries and says that he chose to bring Roman Reigns into this company with the Shield. And I'm proud of you, Roman, because you learned from the best. And you have 2 choices for WrestleMania. You have one option of someone you think you can beat, and the other option is someone who on your best day you can't touch because he's the best in the world. And there's one guy where the title makes Drew McIntyre, but then there's me who makes the title. So you can try and climb Mount Everest.
With no Sherpa.
With no Sherpa.
Yeah.
Reigns says he's making my notes are all over the place here.
You're making all these towns because you took a 10-year vacation. If I was in your shoes, I would do the same, which is an awesome line. Great comeback.
Yes. After your 10-year vacation, he says, I did learn from you. I learned what not to do. And the fact is, you wouldn't be here without me. Who do you think they came to ask if it was okay when they wanted to bring you back? And then brings up that it was you that went on your best friend's podcast and made comments that made my life harder than it needed to be, which is not a lie at all. Like, if you want to trace when did the audiences really turn on Roman Reigns, it is a direct correlation to Punk talking about how his idea for the Shield would have been Chris Hero in that role, and that the company, he was the company's choice. Like, and that was no surprise. Like, as Liaki, like, this was the guy that they had huge aspirations for, and Reigns was going to be in the Shield. But the byproduct, and Punk was not even necessarily like burying this guy, but it was like he was there to help make this guy look good in the ring. Like, he was still very green. But the fallout of this was that this is the company's choice. Mm-hmm. And like 2 months after this is the Rumble that he wins and gets like totally booed out of the building, even when they bring Dwayne Johnson out to endorse him. And it's really the start of like the whole negative Roman Reigns sentiment. So that's probably the most we're going to dive into this podcast in the lead up to WrestleMania. I doubt we're going to air any audio clips of the pod. That would be surreal if a WWE aired anything from the Art of Wrestling.
I don't know if they'd want to open that box again anytime soon.
Yes. He says that I let you back in here and you screwed me. You took my wise man. You brainwashed my wise man. You even tried to brainwash me. I shook your hand at War Games, looked you in the eye like a man, and then on the way back after the match, you're behind my back and you mocked me like a young boy. And he says, I could choose you because you're a big star, because you're on Netflix and the best show, but I'm picking you because I hate you and you will acknowledge me at WrestleMania. And there we go. We have our main event. And unlike previous years, we have no debate on what the main title is, on what the main event is for night 2, and what the A show is. They made it perfectly clear here from Roman Reigns and CM Punk that this is the A title, and Cody and Drew can go for the scraps on the B show. I mean, I thought this segment was excellent, and like, to an extent, you kind of have to incorporate Drew into this. I get it. But, man, that thing about the best show, and that might have just been a line that, Reigns was just going and said. But, oh, man, I just thought, like, coming out of this, like, they really made Drew and SmackDown look so inferior. And I hope there's just there needs to be a rebuttal. Not just from Drew, from Cody as well. Like, they really need to have a pushback here.
You're expecting Cody to be Drew's opponent.
Well,
Sure, Cody as
it's like those are the two stars of the show. Yeah. Like, I think you look at them, like, those are the stars of the show, and whatever it was. But SmackDown shade aside and strays that Drew caught, I mean, it was an excellent segment, and 2.5 months in advance we have our Mania main event set up. So it certainly remains to be seen, like, how many appearances Reigns will have, at least until those final couple of weeks before Mania.
I would suggest he doesn't need too many, like, because you've already reached such a high here. Of course, you want to continue to simmer and maybe even build, but man, they couldn't have asked for a hotter start. This was a WrestleMania main event level promo segment between these two. And like, I always find it interesting because, like, when we talk about our best, whatever, promo of the year, you never talk about Roman Reigns. And I don't think anybody who watches this stuff that closely would ever consider Roman to be like a best promo caliber type of, like, talker. Best character, maybe. Most important character, most important person, most important wrestler, yeah, maybe. But best talker, not necessarily. But tonight, I thought he bested CM Punk, who many people would consider to be that person. So I think, first, bravo to both men. I think they had some excellent lines and an excellent sort of, like, dialogue, whether it be like, whoever helped them script it could just be the two of them, but I'm sure they had a whole bunch of people that were able to just create this, like, wonderfully organic and personal exchange that, like, I think wonderfully weaved the narrative stuff with also some legitimate stuff in there to just kind of, like, add another layer of believability to it all. And you have to remember, like, okay, this wasn't always going to be the plan for WrestleMania, so, like, this is kind of they also had the job of, like, pivoting from I guess at the last time we saw these two, what was it War Game? Were they actually teaming together in War Games? Was that what they were referencing? I don't even remember at this point.
They teamed at
last year's War Games.
Last year's War Games, yeah. That set up the favor that Punk was owed.
And was it what was Roman referencing here, that they shook hands?
I guess on the way to the back. I don't even remember this afterwards.
What was the War Games this year? War Games 2020.
War Games this year.
My memory was so bad.
Well, the War Games ended last year with, like, Cody and Roman kind of
San Diego,
face to face.
San Diego, they were on the same team. Cody, Roman, Punk, and the Usos versus Lesnar, The Vision, and Drew.
Okay, I didn't know which War Games he was referencing because
they teamed together for both War Games of the past 2 years. Anyway, so, like, this was never to be the destination. I would assume
the handshake deal. I'm pretty sure that was like 2024 because that was the whole thing of those two being brought together.
Okay.
Anyway, regardless, it doesn't matter.
They were never meant to be in this position coming off of like the last time we probably saw these two together. So they had to like do the task of having to answer for that. Basically like wipe that and explain why that, was didn't mean anything. They even went as far as to explain why you might have seen these two do promotional appearances together or like in the recording booth together to record lines for Zootopia 2 or 3 or whatever Zootopia that they are. Yeah. Zebros, yeah. Like they even came up with an excuse so that like, yes, we know they're doing this, but you can also believe that that was before when they were cool temporarily. Now they actually hate each other and this is going to be real. I thought there was a lot of great attention like paid to all that. And also just the way it logically sort of flowed from one to another. Punk bringing up how like, this guy, is a part-timer essentially, but he kind of like, said, you've earned the right to do it. And then Roman coming back with a wonderful rebuttal saying how I would be making every day too over the past like three weeks if I took 10 years off. I just think like they did a great job. Like everybody involved in this segment did a great job of giving you a very satisfying sort of like battle on the microphone between two giants that again encompassed a bit of reality and a lot of narrative and just ultimately made you really want to see this match.
Yeah, I thought it was the way to like kick off a big Mania program. I imagine we don't see Roman till after Elimination Chamber. You could argue you could have held this off until after Chamber to set it up, but I think they're looking at it. It's
hotter after the night after the Rumble, I think.
I think they want to build this for that amount of time. They want this. Like the focus is Mania. The focus is not Elimination Chamber. The priority is not Finn Balor. Like that is a setup show. This is the bigger show, and we want to have this long of a runway to promote what feels like this is the number one match for WrestleMania. Nothing on SmackDown is going to usurp this. Like this feels like the big match for Mania.
It is, yeah. I mean, assuming Drew holds the title, I mean, Drew's not really on their level, right? So Drew versus anybody would be a step below.
As they told us.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I'm also not that worried about Drew because you're talking about like a guy who, like one of the, like probably one of the sharpest, if not the sharpest tongue and sharpest fingers on as well, in Drew McIntyre. So I have to imagine he's got a few days to cook up a really great response, and I'm looking forward to whatever that is. But I also think like, Cody is an interesting person in all of this because for the person, positioned as the ace of the company over the past 2 WrestleManias, he's not going to be this year. He's not going to be headlining a night 2. It'll definitely be these two.
Yeah, this segment, like it positioned, like these are the stars of the company. These are the number 1, number 2 stars of the company, and there's definitely a third that people would place above these two, especially over these last few years.
Yeah.
But
so you could expect some maybe shots back even from Cody. I like
there should be like you can certainly like roll with this and respond with it, but certainly like in the moment, like you really did belittle like SmackDown as like this inferior show, which is just it's more so interesting that those comments were even utilized here. They weren't necessary. But if they can use this and actually turn it to something like a little bit of a war between like that main event versus this main event, it could potentially lift both of them. Can you imagine Punk coming out with like programming insider data to go over SmackDown's numbers falling under like 1 million with big data plus panel?
That would be
a 0.22. I wasn't doing 0.22s on cable. We
We
haven't even gotten to the needle mover discourse between. That's how that all started with Reigns and Punk. Created a T-shirt.
Be a different level of pipe bomb. What would you call that?
The data dump.
Sure.
Yes. All right. Well, there you go. What did you think of Raw overall? I thought that it was sort of I just didn't. I felt a lot of it was just sort of like the focus being on the Rumble.
It's an epilogue for the Rumble,
but. Ended with a really big segment, and I enjoyed Vaquer and Raquel. Like I know it wasn't like the hottest match to this, but I thought like for the work that they put in, like I thought that was a good match. I wouldn't say like the other wrestling on this show stood out to me all that much.
I can't believe this was only 3 matches.
Like but they got a lot of time. Like this was 12 and a half, 13, and 22 minutes.
We are talking about like a PLE that was just 4 matches. So I guess 3 matches on a TV show isn't that surprising these days. But I mean, I felt it was a pretty substantial show, like in just continuing this Adam Pearce vision thing. I mean, main event segment really delivered, and I think that was the most important thing here. But also,
and the opening segment was pretty good too, with Braun and the Vision and LA Knight. Like LA Knight feels like he's like married to the Vision, but certainly feels like they're bringing him back with a significant focus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's going to wrap up our version of our review of Raw. But before we say goodbye on YouTube, do want to make mention of the Post Wrestling Cafe this coming month. We have put out the schedule for February. It's a big month. We welcome all our new members to the cafe that have jumped on board. You've chosen a great time to do so. The fun begins this Thursday as we're going to be doing a retrospective on the late Shinya Hashimoto, who died back in July of 2005, and he was one of the biggest draws in New Japan's history, filling the Tokyo Dome on multiple occasions. We're going to be talking about a select number of his matches, from Victor Zangief at the Tokyo Dome in 1989 to Hiroshi Hase, Junichiro Tenaru, one of the famous matches with Naoya Ogawa from January 4th, 1999, and the one and only singles match he had with Toshiaki Kawada for All Japan in 2004. And we're bringing on WH Park for the entirety of this show to do kind of like a mini look, mini bio of Shinya Hashimoto. I think he's like a really important figure in New Japan's history, and his exit from New Japan and the launch of 01. It's a period that I think people are still like unpacking, like what was planned, what was not planned, and the result of it was Hashimoto out of New Japan, which was almost impossible to fathom. Like before that this guy would be out of New Japan. So we'll go into all of that.
Yeah, Hashimoto represents a real blind spot for me in just my knowledge of professional wrestling in 90s Japanese professional wrestling. So I really enjoyed the opportunity to listen to you and WH like talk about basically a mini history lesson of his entire career, and also getting the chance to go through like some amazing matches as a result, including like taking a bit of a detour into the UWFI New Japan invasion as well.
We'll also have this month Rewind Away covering Extreme Rules 2011. A real where were you moment for that crowd in the arena as John Cena gave them the breaking news of the man that has been compromised to a permanent end, that being Osama bin Laden. But before that announcement, there was a wrestling show, so we will go through that and then hear from the chief commander, John Cena. We're also continuing our reviews of Season 2 of Unreal. Tomorrow we'll drop Episode 3 review on The Vision. And then in the weeks to come, next week, it will be the execution of the Seth Rollins angle at Saturday night's main event. That should be a fun one. And then after that, the culmination at SummerSlam as well. Plus, we have Karen Peterson and Bruce Lord reviewing New Beginning in Osaka next week. Ask Away mailbag show, which the mailbag is pretty plentiful, so you can still submit questions this month. We'll be getting to all of those. Those are always fun shows. Weekly editions of Collision Course, hosted by Kate from Montreal. Rich Fan and WH Park are tackling Wonder Man on MCU later. We'll have reviews of TNA No Surrender, and of course, the XL versions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown, where you get all of the news at the start of each show. 40 minutes today going through all the latest news from the weekend and your feedback and questions at the end of the show as well. Plus, what about people that just want to get a free trial? What can they do?
We are offering now 7-day free trials for anybody who might be a new member to our Patreon. So if you haven't signed up for an account before, go to postwrestlingcafe.com and you can choose a 7-day trial either for our regular tier or our double tier, which you can sample as well, where John Pollock, Jack Wannon, and Neil Flanagan deliver daily news updates in compact form. Like we're talking 10 minutes or less. Just get caught up on like today's news, in addition to just, so you can get caught up for your podcast or whatever you want. And then also monthly editions of Book Club, where John and Neil just reviewed Chris Jericho's A Lion's Tale.
Correct. Yes. You can always catch that. Monthly book clubs, and then, yes, the audio news updates each and every day right into your ears. So we're going to say goodbye to everyone here on the Post Wrestling YouTube channel. We have lots coming up this week with Poison Rana going through NXT on Tuesday night, which should be a very noteworthy edition of NXT, the post-Ava regime of NXT.
It's a new era.
And a new champion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So all of that to look forward to. Wai and I will be back Wednesday night after Dynamite in Las Vegas. So goodbye to everyone on YouTube.